Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Thank you all so much for joining me here today for another pick a card reading. For any of you that are new to my channel, welcome in. My name is Melissa, and today's topic is going to be all about Mercury retrograde. Specifically, we're going to be finding out what this current Mercury retrograde period is teaching you. What is the lesson in this Mercury retrograde? So for any of you who don't know, Mercury retrograde is a time when the planet Mercury literally stops or slows down. And this is a time where a lot of miscommunications can occur. It's a time when things kind of slow down. You might have like a wrench thrown into a plan that you had. You might have miscommunication with somebody, or people from the past tend to resurface a lot, and issues with the past tend to resurface a lot during Mercury retrograde. So it can be like a little bit of a weird time for some of us. It can definitely be kind of a challenging time for some of us. So I thought this could be a cool reading to do to just kind of dig into like the bigger lesson that this current retrograde that we're in is intending to teach you. I am recording this video right now during a time where we are in a Mercury retrograde in the sign of Gemini. But this reading is intended to be timeless. So if you guys are stumbling upon this video during a different Mercury retrograde time frame, then if you're drawn to it, please go ahead and watch it because there's likely a message that's here for you. So today we are going to be working with 3 different decks. I'm going to be shuffling on camera to channel our messages, and then I'm also going to be pulling some oracle cards just to supplement the reading. So starting off here on the left-hand side, we have deck number 1. This is the Tarot of the Divine with some aqua obsidian. Deck number 2 here is the Happy Tarot with some amethyst, and then deck number 3 is the Edgar Allan Tarot with some carnelian. So let's go ahead and take a deep breath. Go ahead and think about this Mercury retrograde season and what it's intending to teach you. Select the card or crystal you're feeling the most intuitively guided to. And whenever you're ready, go ahead and click on the timestamp below that corresponds to your selection. This will help you skip ahead to your reading. Hey there, deck number 1. So if you all selected the beautiful aqua obsidian heart as well as the Tarot of the Divine, let's go ahead and see what you're intended to learn during this Mercury retrograde season. So I'm going to be shuffling on camera from the tarot in just a moment here, but I do want to start off with some oracle cards that I pulled prior to your reading. So let's go ahead and see what is coming through in terms of your lesson. So we have the message here of peace. We have the happy family in reverse. And we have show the world the real you, the full moon in Aquarius. Interesting. Okay. I also pulled a spell card for you from my Harry Potter deck. This is the spell of Iverte Statum. I don't remember this one from the movies or the books. So this causes the opponent to fly back several feet. Interesting. So with this card coming up, group number 1, I do kind of get the impression that there is something here that maybe you're feeling like you need to defend yourself from. Maybe there's been a little bit of tension or just like these feelings of defensiveness or feeling like you're literally being knocked off of your feet by someone or something in your life. And this could be something that's really coming to the surface for you during this Mercury retrograde. We do have the happy family card here in the reverse. And so I do feel that this defensiveness may have to do with family. It has to do with your family, maybe your community. This could have to do with like a sibling, I'm hearing for some of you. And with this card being in reverse, it kind of feels like you guys might have been dealing with some family issues. The lack of harmony within the family unit. Something's feeling a little off balance. Something's feeling like, it's not all rainbows and sunshine right now. And so I do feel that during this time, with peace being here at the central focus of the reading, I do think this Mercury retrograde is challenging you to try to find peace in this situation. It is teaching you that maybe perhaps through communication or detachment from the situation, you all are kind of learning to find your own personal peace, your own personal light through the situation. I think it's really hard with family, because we don't get to choose our family, their blood, right? So it can definitely be really challenging when these family issues arise or people in our family unit are, disappointing us, and we have a hard time, I think, feeling like we can detach from that because they're blood, right? So I think that this time frame is teaching you the lesson around being able to maybe detach yourself from the situation a little bit so that you're able to find your own personal peace for yourself. We have the full moon in Aquarius. We also had a number 9 here, you guys. So nines talk about, being close to the end of a cycle, and full moons also talk about a cycle coming to a head or a cycle closing out. This could feel like a little bit of an emotional time for some of you as well as it pertains to situations, just something I'm picking up on here with the full moon. But the full moon in Aquarius, this talks about, when I think of Aquarius, I think of detaching from a situation. Aquarius is kind of a detached sign, if you will, looking at the situation from a more logical perspective, because when we think of Aquarius, this is an air sign. This is going to be somebody or an energy that is very much about like looking at it from head over heart, looking at it from the higher perspective of things and what's kind of the best decision for the collective in the situation. So for some of you, this could be a time frame where you're kind of learning that it's better for you to kind of detach yourself from whatever this family energy is so that everybody is in harmony, if that makes sense. So even though it maybe feel difficult to do, you're kind of looking at this or being guided to look at this from the collective perspective, like what's going to be better for the collective. Show the world the real you as well. I think that there's also a message here for some of you about needing to feel like you're being authentic to this situation, needing to feel like you're either making a choice or decision that feels authentic to you, or feeling like maybe you're struggling with feeling like you can be yourself around your family. Maybe your family's not accepting you. Maybe your family isn't seeing you for who you truly are or accepting the person that you really feel like you want to be or the person that you really are. And so I do feel that for some, this is going to be a time period where we're learning a lesson around like detaching from the emotion of that situation and learning to kind of find our inner peace, our own inner light, maybe without the approval of the family. Okay, so let's go ahead and start shuffling here from the Tarot of the Divine. Let's kind of get a few more messages around the situation for you, pile number 1. I want to see what else do we need to know about this lesson that you guys are learning during this Mercury retrograde time frame. I do for sure think that communication is an issue here because you all were guided to select a blue deck as well as a blue stone. And so the blue does have to do with the throat chakra. So this is the way that we are, it's actually a lot of things that we just talked about. So it's not only the way that you are communicating and coming across to others, it's how others are communicating with you. And it also talks about your ability to listen and accept other people's truths, right? Throat chakra is also about, being able to express your truth as well, right? So a lot of times throat chakra blockages come from like the fact that we're scared or fearful to speak the truth of how we're really feeling about the situation, okay? So let's go ahead and see. I want to just do like one more shuffle this way. What is the lesson for my pile number 1s? Please clarify this message for my pile number 1s with regard to this current Mercury retrograde. You know what's interesting too is that this talks about happy family, and you all actually picked this deck. It's called, I think I mentioned, it's called the Tarot of the Divine, and a lot of the cards in this deck are, they come from like fairy tales or stories from different cultures and backgrounds. And so I think it's kind of interesting when I think of, like the family, I think of like with this happy family, especially, I think of like the quintessential Disney movie kind of vibe, like it's all rainbows and sunshine. It's all beautiful and, no bad vibes, right? But those depictions are not always accurate for everybody. In fact, I would argue that those Disney type of depictions of family are wrong in 99% of the time. So with your tarot cards, we have a major arcana card here that's really of significance for you, group 1. So we have the message here of the Empress. I feel like this Mercury retrograde time period is as it pertains to family, I feel like this has to do with the mother figure or the maternal figure in your life. I feel like maybe this issue with family is having to do with whoever is like the matriarch of the family, whoever is like identifying as the mother figure in this family, the head of the family. With the Empress card being in the reverse, this would indicate like detachment or, just like the Empress is all about like the divine feminine energy. This is like the quintessential mother that's like caring and nurturing and filled with self-love as well. And so I do think that this lesson for a lot of you viewing pile 1 is having to do with the mother figure in your life. Could be a grandmother, an aunt, something like that. But I think of like a more mature mother figure here. And I think that with the 5 of Cups reverse being next to it, this is about a time of you all sort of realizing that like you have to just sort of accept this person or whoever this Empress represents for like who they really are. 5 of Cups is about disappointments. It's about feeling sad, depressed, feeling just like we didn't get what we wanted out of the situation. But with it being here reversed, I do feel this is about like you guys coming to a space of accepting the situation for what it is and trying to kind of find the positives in this person, trying to find the positives in this family situation despite the disappointments you feel is sort of the energy of like what I'm getting you working on during this time, okay? Letting those guards down, letting those defenses down. And I think you're going to really be able to find peace through like looking at the silver lining of the situation versus like, I don't want to say wallowing because I feel like that's such a negative word, but versus like being too wrapped up in the disappointments, okay? Healing is going to be really important here. Some of you as well during this Mercury retrograde, if this doesn't have to do with like a specific family member, this Empress card, I do feel could have to just do with you, my viewer, and the need to work on your own sense of self-love, your own sense of self-worth during this time, regardless of the situation with your community or the people that are around you, right? So like being able to kind of stand in your power, being able to love yourself and know that you have your own beautiful, peaceful light within, and detaching yourself and feeling confident in the space that you're in just alone without the validation of the family unit or people in your life, okay? We also have the Page of Swords here. So this is another kind of like, I do think of like Aquarius energy slightly with this card where it's like, this is about, learning to be a bit more quizzical, maybe asking a little bit more questions, being a bit more, I hate to say the word skeptical, right? But like, if you're sort of dealing with someone who is like disappointing you or not giving you that maternal love that you feel like you need, I do feel like the Page of Swords might be actually challenging you during this time to like get to know this person a little bit better is the message that's coming through. Because the Page of Swords asks a lot of questions. I always think of them as being like the skeptical interviewer. They are guarded, like there's a sword here. I do see that you guys feel like you need to protect yourselves in this situation, but I also think like if this person, like one of my favorite tricks is like if someone's being passive aggressive or like nasty to me, just like asking a simple, just like logical clarifying question can sometimes like throw them off their game. So if they're coming at you with a passive aggressive remark, the Page of Swords would be like, tell me what you mean by that. Like probing a little bit deeper into whatever jab they may have thrown at you so that like it kind of knocks them off their guard and it forces them to clarify what they said without you having to like feed into their passive aggression. You know what I mean? But I also think for some of you, if that doesn't apply, I do feel this Page of Swords is just talking about like asking more questions, getting to know this person a little bit better, interviewing them. Maybe like a great way to like rebuild this relationship or to better understand each other is to stay aloof, right? Like stay more logical versus in your feelings about it, but like learning to ask this person more questions or, just get to know them, try to understand where they're at, understanding their headspace, right? Like, it doesn't mean that you have to be all like lovey-dovey and like, it doesn't mean that you have to like let your guard down all the way, right? Like maybe a lot of you are in this situation for a reason, but the Page of Swords I feel here is just really guiding you to like ask more questions, whether it's to a person of significance or of yourself. So looks pretty interesting, pile number 1. This definitely feels like it's about family or some sort of like family unit situation going on. So I would love to kind of hear from you in the comments down below how it resonates. But thank you all so much for taking the time to view today's reading. I'll see you in the next one. Bye. Hi there for my pile number 2. If you chose this Amethyst and the Happy Tarot, we're going to go ahead and see what lesson this current Mercury retrograde is intending to teach you all right now. So what I'm going to be doing is I am going to be shuffling these tarot cards on camera in just a moment, but I want to start off with your oracle messages so we can kind of get some good overall energies of what's happening for you during this time. So we have the message of wisdom. We have deceit in reverse. Interesting. We have a win-win outcome is forecast. Full moon in Libra. And from the Harry Potter spell deck, we have Expecto Patronum. So I'm sorry, you guys. I'm such a Potterhead. I shouldn't even apologize. It's who I am. But this is a charm that's cast through positive, happy memories. And it's like this positive, happy memory is able to ward off like these evil creatures called Dementors that like basically represent like everything bad that you don't want. So we'll get into this in a second. But the lesson I feel like you all are learning during this Mercury retrograde, I strongly feel this has to do with relationships in your life. We have the message here of the win-win outcome is forecast, the full moon in Libra. And a lot of times with Libra energy, this has to do with relationships. So I feel like there's a lesson that's closing out for you around relationships. There's a lesson here that's closing out for you around perhaps like trusting other people or learning to be like wise to other people's BS in your life. We have the message here of wisdom. We also have deceit in reverse. So like this is telling me that maybe at one particular moment in time in your life, pile 2, with connections with people in your life, whether it's romantic or otherwise, you know, I do feel that there was a moment in time where like you might have, you know, allowed deceptive people into your space, manipulative people into your space. But this is telling me that you've kind of like wisened up to that energy. And so I do feel for some of you, there could be like a person that tests this out for you during this Mercury retrograde. And you're going to be able to like, I feel really come out on this on the other side successfully because you've already learned the lesson about this situation. Like you already know this person's game. You already know that they have like malicious intentions or just like manipulative intentions, you know what I mean? Or whatever the case is. And it might not even be like manipulative in a really like sinister sense for a lot of you, but I do feel like for some, deceit can show up in a lot of ways. It can be as simple as someone just like not telling you how they feel, but acting like they don't feel that way, you know, like they're acting one way, but saying something else or whatever it is. Like you've already learned this lesson. And so your wisdom is kicking in during this Mercury retrograde time frame. With this little Patronus charm that you guys pulled here, I do feel that like the reason I also feel like this is about relationships or love is because in order for you to like, it's almost like you guys are casting this protective shield over yourself because you're so full of light and you're full of self-love for yourself that it's like no matter what anyone does, no matter who this is coming in that's going to try to test you, I feel like you're shielded from them. You're protected from them. Like this, you cannot cast a charm like this unless you're someone that's pure of heart, okay? And I think that whoever this is or whatever this is that's coming in to test you, you know, they know that you're pure of heart. And so they're going to try to like get that attention from you. But I don't think you're going to succumb to it this time. Like you're feeling so good about yourself, I think, during this Mercury retrograde that this energy, when it comes in, it's just going to bounce right off of you. So yeah, it definitely feels like relationships, and it's not surprising, you know, pile 2, because I think with a lot of people during this time, this is a time where we have like exes come up out of the woodwork, or this is even times where we might feel like we want to communicate with an ex, like we're looking for healing, we're looking for closure from a situation, things like that come up a lot during Mercury retrograde. So let's just see if we can get a little bit more insight into like what this is for you. What is the lesson? And so if you guys are not feeling like filled with self-love, or if you're feeling like you might be weak to, you know, a past person coming in, look at this, 2 of Cups reverse, the ex. I swear, I knew that this group was about relationships. or situationships of the past, right? But if you guys are not feeling, if you feel like you could be swayed by this person, this is just guiding you to like look at the bigger picture of the situation and remember like, you've learned this lesson. You know what this person's about. You know what the situation is. We've been there. We've done that. The full moon in Libra, like full moons can be a little bit emotional, because it's when the energy is at its peak, right? But this message of like a win-win outcome is forecast is really talking about, what is right for everybody in the long run, right? So that doesn't necessarily mean like getting back together with an ex. It doesn't necessarily mean, even having to communicate with them. Like, it's about doing what's right for all parties involved, doing what is fair, doing what is just. So let's get a few more messages here about this lesson for my pile number 2s. What is this lesson for my pile number 2s? So we have the Sun card, that beautiful Patronus energy coming in. We have the Moon card, okay? And then we also have the 7 of Wands. It's so interesting, the synchronicities coming up. Queen of Swords reverse. Make sure that you guys aren't being gullible. Because the Queen of Swords, this is a very discerning energy. And I would say, like, look, Knight of Cups reverse, bottom of the deck, kind of like that, like that knight that's like maybe not got the best, most positive intentions, right? But make sure with this Queen of Swords at the bottom of the deck that you guys aren't being too gullible with this situation, right? Like, make sure that you're looking at it through logic versus rose-colored glasses. Don't let your guard down too much. You have the 7 of Wands here, which is reminding me of the shield that we talked about here with like the Patronus charm, right? So you guys need to make sure that you're really protecting your energy during this time. And I have to also point out, you had 7 here, a 7 here. These two add up to a 7. So the number 7 is of significance. Angel number 777. Oh my goodness. I'm going to look it up for you guys because for whatever reason, I can never get that one to stick in my head what it means. So let's find out. I think it has to do with like spiritual lessons, like major spiritual lessons being tested out, but let's see what we get. So 777, it says, you're in the flow of divine magic, on the right track toward manifesting your dreams and goals into reality. 777 brings confirmation that you've been hearing and listening to the divine guidance and taking steps to heal and improve your life, and it's working. There's so many different ones of these, you guys, so like you can definitely feel free to research this number a little bit more in depth. But essentially what this is saying is that like, this might be a test to make sure that you've learned that wisdom that you were supposed to learn, that you really are listening to the signs and you're following your intuition, because that's what's going to keep you on the right path and keep you protected here from repeating or repeating a lesson that you've already learned, right? So yeah, I think you guys are learning here to just sort of like keep proper boundaries, again, learning to just like protect your energy. And with the Sun card here, this is about just feeling really happy and really good, just in your own presence, So I think that despite what this test might look like for each of you, because every situation is going to be a little bit different, you're really just being guided here to learn to stand bright, to stand tall, to stand confidently in your power and know that like nothing can hurt you. You're safe, you're protected. This person can't hurt you, the situation can't hurt you. You've wisened up to it. You already learned this lesson, okay? Moon card as well is talking about, following in your intuition, okay? The moon is like kind of a scary card sometimes because it does talk about like kind of this fear of the unknown, being unsure about what the path forward is. I also think of this card, especially in relationships, is like getting those little intuitive nudges that something feels off, getting those little intuitive nudges that there's more to the story than what is meeting the eye, and really needing to like learn to trust your gut and to follow those instincts, right? Like, I'm sure there's been times where you guys have felt that in connections, maybe in this specific thing that's coming up for you, this Mercury retrograde. And, if you don't trust it in the moment, then later on you realize why you should have trusted it, right? So I think a big lesson, again, for this Mercury retrograde is in you all learning to just like follow in your intuition, remembering to trust in your intuition, because again, you're smart, you're wise, you've learned this lesson. So I hope this was helpful, pile 2. Yours is actually super common. Relationships tend to be a thing that resurface during Mercury retrograde, things from the past, if you will. But let me know in the comment box down below what you thought. And thank you all so much for viewing this reading. I will see you next time. Bye. Hey there, pile number 3. So if you guys chose this Edgar Allan Poe Tarot and this little carnelian, let's go ahead and see what this current Mercury retrograde is teaching you. So we're going to shuffle these on camera in a moment, but I want to start off by channeling some oracle messages for you so we can see what overall energies you guys may be working with during this time. So we start off with the imagination card. We have Magician in the Mirror in reverse. Okay. We have conclusions are in reach, the full moon eclipse, powerful energy. And your spell card we have is Stupefy, which talks about rendering a target unconscious. I'm almost wondering if some of you guys are just feeling really creatively blocked during this time, or feeling like something has knocked you off your feet, or feeling like you're just, like when I think of that Stupefy spell, I think of like just being blocked, like being, it literally talks about rendering someone unconscious, like incapable of movement, you know what I mean? And I also think too, it's almost like you guys might be challenged during this time of feeling like your power is being taken away from you in some way, like, or being like resistant, or just feeling like there's just something missing, right? You guys have the Magician and the Mirror card, and this is about like, this really makes me think of the Magician in the tarot, where it's like you are struggling, I think, during this Mercury retrograde, or learning a lesson about being able to stand in your own power and being able to create whatever it is that you truly desire for yourself. Because Magician in the Mirror really talks about like what you see in yourself is what you get. What you see when you look around in your environment is the product of your manifestations. It's the product of your creation and your energy. And so with it coming up reversed here, it's almost like there's something you guys are wanting to change in your life, but you're feeling blocked on how to do it, or you're feeling dissatisfied with how to do it. And I do feel that this might be a time that feels a bit emotional for some of you with the full moon eclipse, because this is really powerful energy. This is when like we have been going through it and we are just feeling really just like exhausted, fatigued, stuck, trapped. And the cycle's closing out, right? But it might feel a little bit rocky as we get to our destination. With imagination coming here in the middle, I feel like the primary way that you guys are going to be able to move out of this energy is through being creative. You know, like you guys picked a very creatively inspired stone, carnelian. This is like sacral chakra or sacral chakra. It's said a few different ways. You have a lot of fiery orange energy here, fiery orange energy here. So I do feel that being able to be creative and imaginative is going to be the way that you're able to unblock yourself from this feeling of being stuck, or this feeling of dissatisfaction, or feeling like you're not quite as powerful as you wish you were, okay? Confidence. I feel like confidence is something that you guys are learning this time around as well during this retrograde, because Magician in the Mirror is also talking about like having a lack of confidence, a lack of vitality to be able to create whatever it is that you want. But I think that it's all in your head, you guys, because with this imagination card here, it's like there's a lot of untapped potential here for you to be able to like free yourself of this feeling of being trapped, getting yourself up off the floor, quote unquote. But you guys have to kind of think outside the box is kind of the vibe I'm getting here. So let's go into your tarot cards here with the Edgar Allan Poe and just see what other messages we have for you about your retrograde. Let's see. So for my pile 3s, please add some clarity with regard to their retrograde messages. What is this lesson for my pile 3 viewers as it pertains to this Mercury retrograde? The other message I'm hearing for some of you is this Magician could represent a person in your life, a person of significance, maybe somebody who is a little bit devious or deceptive, or maybe they kind of are manipulative and they know like how to sort of like knock you off your throne, if you will. That's for some of you guys out there. Like they have an unnecessary power over you in a way, and that's testing you this time. So for pile 3, what else do we need to know about this lesson they're learning during Mercury retrograde? So we have, ooh, the Tower. I knew something big was happening for you guys, but look at that. Full moons, both in the Tower. We have Strength. We have the Page of Pentacles reversed. Okay. Bottom deck energy, we have the Five of Wands. Yeah. I do feel this is like a big conflict you guys are moving through right now, or you're just feeling chaotic inside. This deck is wild, man. Just lots of intense energy shown here. I don't know which book that's from or which story that's from Edgar Allan Poe. But listen, guys, here's what's going on. The foundation of something in your life is really being tested during this time. I feel like this retrograde is going to uncover to you that something you've built is faulty. Something that you've built, whether this is with another person or something that you've created in your life for yourself, it was done it wasn't built because you might not have been in your power when you were constructing this. It's exposing some splinters, we'll say, okay? It's exposing that it may not be a situation for you that's going to be able to stand the test of time. This can have to do with a job. This can have to do with career. This can have to do with relationships, just anything in your life that you might feel super conflicted about right now with that Five of Wands at the bottom of the deck. This is the situation it's talking about. Whatever you're feeling the most intense and emotional about is what this is about, okay? But I do feel the positive side of this for this Mercury retrograde is that during this time, you're almost at the end of the cycle. Like, this situation is exposing itself for what it is and it's closing itself out. It might feel abrupt. It might feel painful. It might feel like you're split between two worlds for some of you. I'm just being drawn to how the house is split in half. But it's necessary to see, the splinters in this foundation, because you want to make sure that whatever you're manifesting for yourself is something that's going to sustain and something that's going to support you going forward. And so I think that is a pretty major event or realization that's coming through for my Pile 3 viewers during this retrograde. With the Strength card here, it's another major arcana card. So I think this is talking about courage and confidence again. This is talking about, what's interesting too, distraction, but important. The Stupefy card talks about stunning someone unconscious, and it's interesting that this woman here is almost like she's taming this lion that's made out of stone. The lion is unconscious. I feel like this retrograde is about you all tapping into your unconscious inner lion, your inner courage that's been stifled. For some of you, I feel like you've just been blocked, or whatever this fierce energy that you have inside of you has been restricted for some reason, whether it's you doing it to yourself or someone else doing it to you. But I feel like this is going to be a moment where that's really tested during this retrograde. How are you going to unstun yourself and let lion free? Right? Let that courageous side of yourself come forth. This definitely could feel like a person that's stifling you, because in this Strength card, it almost looks like she's just laying all over this lion, just even though it's made of stone, it feels stifling to me when I'm looking at it. And with the other cards that we got, I feel like that's what's going on for you, Pile 3. So I think this Tower moment is going to encourage you guys to snap out of whatever this is, this slump that you've been in. And you're going to really be learning a lesson about dealing with situations and confronting them head on and doing it with confidence and really doing it through creative, solutions, if you will. We also have the Page of Pentacles in reverse here. So this pages can also talk about receiving news. And so I'm wondering if this page is some sort of news that you're receiving that is triggering all this to happen, because, the Page of Pentacles in reverse would be news we might not want to hear, maybe not the best news. And with it being Pentacles, this could have to do with your career, your finances, something material. This can also have to do with children. There could be a child involved in whatever the situation is for some. But this also kind of signifies like a need to get a little bit more curious. And so I'm wondering too, for some of you with this Magician in the Mirror in reverse, like when I think of the Magician in the Mirror reverse, this is also someone that's not confident in their skill set because maybe they need to learn a little bit more. Maybe there is more that they need to be educating themselves on here. So it's like, with the Page of Pentacles, this is a card that's all about education. It's all about learning. It's all about studying something. And so if that's been blocked for you, or if you've been feeling like hesitant to do that, this might be recommending for you guys to like go and study something new, take a class, be curious about something. Maybe some sort of like higher learning or education can help you as you're moving through this retrograde situation that's going on. But keep in mind too, with Mercury retrograde, you know, communication can get really haywire. So it may not necessarily be bad news coming in. It could just be miscommunication for some. So this feels like really intense energy you guys are working through, pile 3. I'm really curious to hear what this is about. I don't know why I feel like for a lot of you, this may have to do with your career or a business or like maybe even your home life, because the Tower is really being depicted as this like house, this mansion kind of thing. But let me know in the comments below and we'll chat. But thank you guys so much, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.